Welcome. Backstage we were dancing, so it's a good start to the day. And if anyone can make me dance, they are very talented. Of course, Emmanuel Jal has recently been awarded the Common Ground Award, and after the festival he's flying to Washington DC to receive it. And it puts him in the same company as Bishop Desmond Tutu, former President Jimmy Carter, Muhammad Ali and more. This year's recipients include, along with Emmanuel, Her Highness Queen Noor of Jordan, Mo Ibrahim and the Freedom Riders. And Emmanuel is launching a new fundraising campaign called Lose to Win today, which is an ingenious online fundraising engine to enable anyone to take a 30-day challenge to give up something and gain sponsors to do so. He's known for his charity work. He's about to release his fourth album, See Me Mama, which he has published 1,000 Australian-only copies for fans and tastemakers to review. I like that. And he'll be showcasing his performance on Friday night at the Corner Hotel, with an enormous showcase of African hip-hop artists, and there'll also be, on the closing night of the Melbourne Festival, Notes from the Hard Road, performing with Black Arm Band. And so I'd like you to welcome Emmanuel here. Now, of course, he's the author of the book War Child, which was a wonderful read. And in the epilogue, you said, I followed every road that opened up to me. And to me, that's a sense of positivity and taking opportunity. But what was the road that led you to Ethiopia when you were young?
Well, we were told we were going to go to school, and so it was a difficult journey, and so I wanted to go to school, learn how to fly a plane or be somebody, because I was excited about educated people. And so we were told, one of the big questions we used to ask, who made the bombs? Who made these tanks, these guns that are terrifying people? And so we're told they're made by people who went to school. And so every kid wanted to go to school, and so that's how everybody was psyched up. And when you sleep in the night, and even though you're starving, you're dreaming that you're going to go to school and learn how to fly a plane.
And of course you get there and it's a front for a school, but behind they're training boys to be soldiers. What was that like?
Well, we actually went to school for a while, but when we arrived there, one thing was, we were promised like we're going to go to heaven. But you see 6, 7 years old burying their own dead. It was a sea of children with no parents. And so we were cooking for ourselves, taking care of ourselves. And then each and everybody has a story. Some of them will tell you they lost everything, or I thought I had it hard until when I was listening to a couple of kids and someone would explain how their home was torn or their parents put in one house and they were all burning and they ran to the bush and they're the only survivor, or a slave catchers come and catch people, and so they're the only one who survive and join the journey of the kids being taken to school. So everybody has got a different story. Some were taken by force. You were 5 in your family and 4 people were taken by force if the parents don't want to give any kids away. And so the experience were different, and then later on we're given an opportunity that we're going to be trained. And personally, if I talk about myself, I wanted to revenge for my family, because I had the memories. It was difficult, the training, when we went for training, because like the people who were teaching us were really merciless. Somebody would die and they don't care, and when we're being welcomed, they welcome us harshly. Everybody's being beaten. So a couple of times I wanted to escape, but I remember my mother's face in one village where she was screaming and we were separated. Then I remember my auntie when she was raped when I was 5. I remember my village burning. And then I said, I can't go. I have to learn how to use an AK-47 and revenge for my family.
So the image I have in the book too is you with your AK-47 that's bigger than you. almost. You're such a boy learning how to fight. And your mum is such a positive person who says everyone deserves to go to heaven, everyone is a good person inside, basically. How do you then live with that and the knowledge that people did bad things to your family?
Well, my mother has become a very strong influence in my journey and also for my survival. When things were really tough, before I do anything, I think about my mom. What was she doing? What would she do if we face a problem like this? Because I remember one point when bombs would drop and then we'd run from one place to another, and she'll tell us, don't worry, God is going to watch over us. And when she was beaten, I've never seen her cussing or when something bad happened. And she said, like, we are all children of God, and everything that is happening is destruction. The devil is making everybody fight and greed. And I won't understand that, but when she's always calm, and that's what always was always in my mind. But here my mother died. All my aunties died, and they're all claimed by the war, all my uncles. And then I don't know where my father is. I'm a kid alone, and I've seen destruction. And so here I'm being shown the people who are killing you are this, and I happen to witness and see the people destroying home. And so if I've been given a gun, you can actually, if you learn how to do the gun, you can actually participate to protect your people. And so there was nothing, no, you don't have to convince anybody. Anybody who has lost everything, it's hard to convince them not to do anything, because you've lost everything and you're told the person who made you lose everything is here, and he is a gun, he can be your father and your mother, so you can't revenge.
And so maybe explain what the SPLA was and how did it become your family, or did it become your family?
SPLA actually, when it started, it was the movement that gives hope to everybody. It's the people who stood out and say, what is happening is not right. And so, and everybody was hoping that they're going to save people. So it's called Sudanese People Liberation Army. And one of the things that they had, it was one of the most well-organized rebel movement, I think, in the world. Because they ran their war, budget for their war was like $4 million a year. And they were really organized. Even though some parts, like sometimes you can't control soldiers. When there's war, they would rape, they would do everything. But what I remember is if you're caught abusing people or raping people, they'll do a firing squad. And that was one of the first things they showed in our training. Some guys went and raided a place and raped women, took alcohol by force. And so they were brought in front of us and they were killed for everybody to see and get scared not to do that.
There's a moment in the book, 1984, when the character is turned against his love, Julia, by getting threatened with rats eating his face. And he says, no, do it to Julia. And in that moment, in that book, you realise he has finally, that Big Brother has won. There's a moment similar for me in the book where your friend is told to, you're told to whip your friend, and so you're whipping your friend, but you hold back just a little because you don't want to hurt him. Mm-hmm. But then when his turn comes, he gives it everything he's got because he's told to do that. What did it do to friendships or to anyone? Did you have to close yourself completely?
Well, when we went there, we were still normal as kids, and we were very, we were very lovey-dovey, cuddles, crying all the time. But now me and my friends were turned against each other, so I was told to give him lashes, and I was holding back. And so he was saying if he's not going to beat me that bad, he was going to be beaten. And so when his champs came, he didn't hold back. He beat me. He beat the hell out of me. And then like two people just turn apart. And then other thing is, at one point, if you forget your fake gun, because we're given fake gun to sleep with made of wood, you get punished for that. If you're found you're sleeping in one place with your friend, you get beaten for that. And so we're not allowed to have ties with one person. We're allowed to bond as a group, that we are all one family. Because they're trying to cut the emotional part, because when you go to the battlefield and your friend is shot, you become emotional and not focused, maybe throw away the gun and try to hold your friend. So they're trying to cut that. So if somebody is shot, you have to keep fighting, not throwing away your guns, you know. And everybody has to be family.
The book is so much about survival. What was the moment of holding back whipping your friend to actually killing someone? I mean, what's that road like? We couldn't understand that.
It's a journey that, you know, when you're being trained as a soldier, you're being brainwashed. And they know a way they do it is done step by step. And so at one point you become like a robot. So you obey command. But now, also for us, you're going to revenge. So, you know, there's nothing sweeter than revenge. You know, the first 5 minutes, it's so joyful. But after you've done it now, the ghost of the person you've revenged to begin to visit. So you'll begin to have a lifetime battle in your mind, and you'll constantly try to justify the reason why you did that, and it's terrifying.
And maybe for people who don't know, who's Emma McCune and what does she mean to you?
Well, Emma McCune was a British aid worker who went to Sudan, and she rescued over 150 child soldiers at that point. And what she did was she saw the problems in South Sudan and looked at the situation and said the only way we could help this country is educate the women and the children. Once all of the people are educated, they'll solve the problems. And so she ended up marrying one of the commanders there, called Dr. Riek Machar, and that gave her access to disarming many child soldiers. And so when I met her after a long journey that I escaped, where we were like 400 young people and only 16 people survived, you know, the journey was really tough, you know, cannibalism. At one point I was tempted to eat my friend because we ran out of food. And so I met Emma, and then she smuggled me into Kenya. So she became like my mother or my sister at that point. So she risked herself and smuggled me. So Emma was the turning point of my life, the angel that came and changed everything for me.
At the moment you met her and she's being so nice to you and opening up her heart and her home, did you think you deserved it?
Well, one of the things is I didn't want to leave my gun, but I wanted to go to school. And so she told me she'll take me to school. So the way she wanted, she'll take me to school. That was the way. And where I'm taking you to school, you cannot come with a gun. And so that's how I left my gun. And so, but I had my own evil thoughts too in my head. I didn't know where my mom is, so I said, okay, I'm going to go to this white woman's land, go to school, join their army, learn how to fly a plane, steal their plane, and come back to war. And so that's the thinking I had, you know, because I was still, and that's convinced me, you know, when you're a child, your ideas and your thoughts, you just try them, but at one point you find that they don't really make sense.
I love how she lets you into her house, and you want to get up and take the Xbox, or just to small things, the computer games, or you're sort of not comfortable in your own skin, it almost feels like, that you can't believe that, I guess, people give so freely. Is that an accurate description?
Well, there was a culture shock when she brought me, you know, because I was among our friends, as you know, and also you come to a new world. This is me as a kid. I'm still young, but my mind operates different. When I'm with other kids, I wasn't like any normal kid. And so it was really difficult for other people to allow me to stay in their house because, oh, he was the next child soldier, he killed. He cannot stay with my kids. And also, when I go to a friend's place and I like something, I take it. I don't ask the other kid. And so when they want it, they can't find it. So to her, she called that stealing, but I tell her, I call it, so I used, when she called it stealing, so what I used to do is I steal borrow, you know. So I sneak into those kids' houses, steal their toys, come play with them, and then sneak back and return them.
And there's a beautiful moment where you go to the toilet for the first time, or see the bathroom, and you sort of hop on because you don't want the snakes to get you.
Oh yes, that was a good one. The first time is using a flush toilet. You know, I thought, I was wondering, how did they bring the water into a place like this? And you know, when you flush the toilet, it bubbles. So in my thinking, I say, this small pipe, what about if a snake come through it? And so I used to sit, you know, hoping maybe a snake will come and I'll hold the head for his snake come try to bite me. But after a long time, I realized there's no snake coming.
But for any of you who have kids, I mean, we still go through that every now and then. Or spiders. In Australia, it's more spiders. And I was interested also that the soldiers sort of had war songs, that they sang songs before going to battle. Was that your first encounter with music? Did it come earlier than that with your mother? When did music enter your life?
Well, I wasn't a musician. In fact, I was really a bad one in the village, because in the village, from the age of 5, 7, 6, every young man has to learn how to sing, because you have to write a song to a lover. The girl, if you fall in love with a girl, you have to sing a song about her. And so if you don't have a song, it will be difficult for you to actually get married. I think that culture is dying out now. So every boy had to write a song. And so I grew up, my mother was in a choir in the church, so she used to sing, but I wasn't interested in singing. But singing has been around. There was singing in the time of cultivation, when people are, when the rainy season come, or when there's a lot of food. So there were songs, different songs throughout. There's war songs as well. The village war songs to encourage themselves when the battle has been lost or when the battle has been won. And so the soldiers also, because music has its way of energizing people. Because I remember there was one battle that a lot of people died, a lot of soldiers, and there was no morale. And so, but when the music was turned on, and the lyrics were showing, even though if we starve, or even if it's one person that is left, we're still fighting for it. So we'd rather all die, but in the long run we're fighting for our right. And then the lyrics go on, and then you find the soldiers beginning, and then they get energized again, and they collect each other, and the next time they go to battle.
And there's a moment, I think, when around the time that Emma is looking after you, you're at school and you're getting taught music, but you're having to write the music down, and you're not enjoying it at all.
That's the most difficult lesson I've ever had, that you have to write music. The teachers I used to ask, why do we have to write it? Can't we just sing it? Can't we just play it? But now I understand. I wish that I actually studied and write it, because now I'm having trouble with the music in the West at the moment, because back in Africa, African music is the only music in the world you can dance to that you don't need to know how to dance, because every beat there give opportunity for anybody. So the beat play.
Me.
So, and now, like with the modified modern music, it has to go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a ta, so you have to follow that, and then you just loop. And it's sometime when I started rapping, I used to go off beat. But when I do an African beat, there's nothing called off beat. You can scream anywhere, say li 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 li, or talk anything, or jump. It still works. What's
an example, just with your mouth, your hands, whatever, of an African beat? Something. Feel the music right now.
Oh, anything. Okay. Alum damadunga, a shoya good and yakawai. Alum damadunga, ayara, yara, 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 ayara, ayara. You see, you're going with it like this. That's how you're actually going with a bit.
It's beautiful. But, yeah, clap. But Puff Diddy or Puff Daddy or P Diddy or
P Diddy, yeah.
whatever the
Puff
kids
Daddy,
say,
P Diddy.
he sort of he influenced you. How so?
Yeah, Puff Daddy, Maze, Biggie, and all that time, because I had my own struggle. So Puff Daddy actually is the hip hop artist that made me actually write a song, because he was a gangster and he sang a song about Jesus. And I was going to church. I wanted to encourage the boys that I was working with. And so I listened to his music on one of the public transport. It's called Jesus, My Best Friend. And so I said, oh, even gangsters can sing to God too. And so and then I wrote my own song from there.
Because I read somewhere that you at times have had a problem with the American hip-hop, the sort of maybe... Is it the aggression? What is it about some American hip-hop?
Well, the music, you see, when you have less knowledge about a place, then you could start talking it about. Well, old school hip-hop, I remember the time of old school hip-hop, there was nobody being knifed or somebody shooting in the club. The music, people just go and have fun. There's a rap, it's like a party. You go to a club, it's smooth. Then all of a sudden, we had gangster hip-hop. Now from there, every kid want to be a gangster. People become violent and beating, and kids going to jail. And I started saying, wow, why is it like this? One of my cousins in UK was put in jail because he wanted to be a gangster. And so they formed their own little group, and they go and bully other kids. At what point he knifed a UK citizen, and he was a refugee in that country. And so now I was really mad. Why did he have to do that? And so they sent him to jail. And so the producer that was working with me at that time, also his son had a gun and was caught doing robbery somewhere, and he was in jail. And so when you look about it, who's bringing up these children? Most of the parents are busy working somewhere, and the kids, when they're at home, who's raising your kids? It could be Jay-Z, it could be 50 Cent or Kylie Minogue, Madonna, you know. So, and then I realized what is coming out of the media is what is actually teaching kids. So kids are being taught by the media, and the junk is what they're having, and later on they react.
But what is it about, I guess, good hip-hop or good rap that attracted you for your form of expression?
Well, there's a lot of good music there. So when I went to States and go underground scene, and I realized, oh, there's good music here, but how come it's not played? And I realized it's what is called commercial music. And so I came to learn more in UK. There's one DJ who liked my music, say you're a kind of an artist that somebody need to listen to when they're stressed and get inspired. But we cannot play you on the radio. And I asked him why. I say, your music is too deep, it's too strong. And I say, what about American hip-hop? They're cussing and fire and bullets. Say, no, this is acting. This is like a movie. But if we bring yours, we're going to make people think. People are going to be clever. People are stressed. We don't want them to think, because if a lot of people are going to be knowing what is going around the world, there'll be revolution. Revolution to the banks, revolution to the government, so the people are going to rise up. So we keep the conscious artists down for encouragement when we are stressed.
I mean, and how did that make you feel? Did it make you more determined? Did it?
No, it discouraged us, because you know, you come out conscious very hard. You hardly sell CDs because you don't have awareness, and you hardly sell concerts. So it's difficult for a conscious artist to survive if there's no exposure for them. And so And even though I have music out there, how many people know? Just only through social media or somebody who's just looking for good music. And so it makes it really difficult. And also, some die out. Yeah, for you to be there in the industry, to extend yourself and be powerfully, there have to be people buying your CDs. The promoters has to be interested in making you sell venue. You know, like this house is half full. Maybe you guys have to work 10 times harder. But if I was like Joe Stone or something, we would have needed a big space, you know.
On your journey to where you are now, tell us about Jaim.
Well, Jaim, it's a group that we formed as young people immediately, and we wanted to raise funds for kids to go to school. There were Kenyan guys who teamed up with me, and so it was standing for Jesus, Andrew, Emmanuel, Edward, Edwin, and Mark. Jaim, so J-A-triple-E-M. And so that was my first group, and it was a nice group. I remember good days and the bad days of that time. So the good days is when we have concert, people come, but we did not know that we had to make money. So all the money we make, we always give it to charity. But in that group, I think I wasn't the strongest rapper, actually, but I was the most dedicated one to want to make change. The rest of the guys were really good looking, and we were committed Christians. And so after the show, each one of them walking with a girl holding their hand, and I'll tell them, why are you doing this? And so I was not, I'll say I was unattractive that time, but later on when I became a solo artist, so I became more attractive.
Yes. You're a big spunk. Yes. I noticed that one of your songs made it to the television show ER in the 12th season. It's one of the last episodes.
Two of them.
Oh, two.
Then Blood Diamond as well.
Right, okay. Yeah. I was just wondering what Sudan's like as far as being portrayed in the media, as on TV or movies, Africa, but mostly Sudan. Do you think that it's portrayed well?
Well, Sudan is where all the NGOs ran out of ideas, really. They didn't know what to do completely because there's so much problems. And so people had to drag their feet, you know, and they didn't know what to do. You have a government that is killing people. 2.5 million civilians got killed in South Sudan alone, and then recently Darfur, and now as I talk to you, the Nuba Mountains, people are getting killed. So there's a way that the government of Sudan gets away with all this crime. And so sometimes it put a lot of frustration to me that do people really want to solve these problems, or is it an opportunity to get more displaced people so more aid workers could be employed, and then there's more jobs. So people get displaced, there's more jobs for aid workers, more poverty, and nothing improves. So you have kids in the refugee camps, they are not put in schools, so the problem just becomes worse and worse and worse. But the coolest thing that happened is we got countries like Australia that went and took refugees and blend them into the country, giving them opportunities to go to schools. America too. A lot of lost boys from Sudan were taken to America. And that, I think that was the best part of what happened to us. Otherwise, everything, food, yes, food come. But as a country, we've been crippled for years because we're just getting fed on aid. Yeah.
And what's We Want Peace?
Well, We Want Peace is a song that we did to raise awareness about a referendum that was happening in South Sudan when the country was getting separated. And so I was really worrying that the country may go back to war and a lot of civilians will get killed. And so, and I believed in putting light in a dark place. When you put light in a dark place, the evil will perform less. And so we reached out to many people. I reached out to Peter Gabriel. He played strings on the song. And then Peter Gabriel reached out to George Clooney, the elders, Then we reached out to Alicia Keys. I reached out to any person. So we got 2 presidents rapping, President Jimmy Carter, President Fernando of Brazil. We got Kofi Annan rapping, and we got Richard Branson rapping.
Can I just understand the process? How do you get them to rap? What did you do? Throw a few pointers, a couple of words, phrases?
No, we just send the song to them, and they like it. So we told them, just say, "We want peace." And that's a.
All right.
We want peace, and that's all they had. Just 2 lines, easy for them.
Right. Okay. and did you meet George Clooney?
No, we always miss each other. I never met him, but I met a couple. I met a lot of big people. Like Angelina Jolie, you know, she's very humble. So, and there are a lot of good people I met out there.
Sorry, I was taking your story into Hollywood there, but so you asked Peter Gabriel and all these people to join you.
Yes, Peter Gabriel has been one of the biggest supporters I have. Even in Live Aid, he was the one who gave me one spotlight, and from there, everything turned out. I was invited for Live Aid when I had a hit song in Kenya. And then Bob Geldof, I talked with Bob Geldof. I asked him, why am I not in the main stage? And he told me, you can't come on the main stage because you haven't sold 4 million records. And then I asked him again, but you're throwing a party for us. You need people like us to speak to all these people. And he said, if you come and perform, the Chinese will turn the TV off. And so that's when Peter Gabriel did in Cornwall something where he invited African artists. So I went and performed in a different place. But the place I went to perform to also, I was taken to a small bush to a crowd, I think 10 people, and the rest of them was journalists. And so, and so the word went around, look, the main reason we're doing this live is because of Emmanuel Jal. So the word went around, and the people started telling Peter, there's an important guy there performing in the bush, and it's going to not be cool. And so, and from there I was given like 10 minutes to come, and then there was like 5,000 people. And that's where I invented a dance called Shaky Leggy.
Sure, please.
No, you guys will see it.
On.
Come on Friday at the Corner Hotel. You see Shaky Leggy. I have to use it as a selling point. You know what I mean?
Can you give us half a shaking lady?
No, they have to come and see it. Otherwise, no tickets will sell. And so, for the first time when I went there, I forgot my words of the song because there was so much crowd. I felt like I was floating, and everybody was screaming. So I freestyle, and people loved it, and my leg was shaking, so I shook it more. It became a dance, and everybody screamed. Yeah.
Sometimes when audiences are going crazy, you could almost say anything to get them. Yeah. Of course, you were at Nelson Mandela's 90th celebration. What was it like meeting him?
Well, Nelson Mandela, I did not know. Like, sometimes there are people you meet, you don't know what to say.
Of course. So
you just shake their hands and just think. And enjoy the time being there, because what do you say? You're there, they're next to you. Probably will take you time to digest, because he's one of my inspiration. Is one of the reasons I keep trying to push for what I'm pushing. 27 years in prison, and he didn't come out bitter and coming out the whole situation. And so, to me, and learning about his story and everything, so he just inspired me. And later he sent me a message telling me, keep the good fight,
There's another character, another real person in the book. Is it Mrs. Moma or Muma?
Yeah, Mrs. Moma, yeah.
Tell us about her too, because I'm interested that there's been some strong women in your life who've guided you.
Yeah, I think without women in my life, I wouldn't reach this far. Women have been in every stage of my life. Even in the early stage, when I left my village, kids were starving, but I met an old lady somewhere who picked me out of all the children and told me, can you get me firewood? So I used to get for her firewood. There was no food, but she hide some food for me and I would eat. So the rest of the kids are starving, I'll go and I'm playing, running around, but they don't know where I get my food. So there's always angels, people, I don't know why, they always notice me and pull me out and try to help. So Mrs. Momo was a Kenyan woman who took me into her house, and she was a very unique person because in the things she do, I've never met somebody who work and all our salary goes to help kids. So the whole of our pay, she sent it to pay school fees or feed other children that need help. So she's one of the women who taught me a lot about forgiveness, taught me about even Nelson Mandela, but mostly Martin Luther King was the person she used to tell me a lot about. And so that's how I began to learn more about African American.
And what do you think about, have you been back to Sudan recently?
Yes, I've been, I was there, I went to vote in January.
In January?
And recently I went also I was planning to go and see the celebration. Unfortunately, the tickets sold out and they closed the airport for the last 3 days. Only VIPs were allowed to fly. Unfortunately, I couldn't qualify. So.
Well, people who have sold 4 million records.
Maybe. So I wasn't that important to fly on that day, so I was stuck in Kenya. So I watched it on TV.
And is there hope? There hope?
Well, the only good thing is now there's freedom. People can go home. And the president we have is slightly better because you can actually speak your head and the next day you may survive. Previously, you can't survive if you speak your mind. But now there are chances that people can actually speak their mind. But in some places, it's sad because there's a school recently that we're trying to express their self-expression, asking questions to the government. Then what happened is the police went to the school and beat all the children in the school and tell them to keep quiet. And so there's a lot we are facing now in South Sudan, but there's a lot of help of educated people coming slowly by slowly, and different countries are trying to talk to our government and ushering them into democracy. But also we have one big problem is corruption. It's okay to be corrupt because when you're corrupt as a leader, you're seen very strong and wise because your friends are going to get a share, your family members will be fed. And when you're not corrupt, there's a name for a corrupt person. They call them shatter, which means intelligent, wise. And if you're not corrupt as a person, they call you a weak person. The first person who will shoot you will be your brother because he'll come to the office and you're not giving them anything. So they'll start ganging against you. And so we have a big problem that people have to be re-educated to understand what it means to be a leader and what it means to be responsible, and also for them to be taught to be accountable. So, because people don't know that it's okay. People see it as an opportunity for real estate to buy yourself a nice house, a big car. They don't see it as when you are there in that office, you are there for the country and for the future.
And before we open it up to the audience, and then I'd love Emmanuel to perform, I don't know about you. What is it about the planes that you liked, that you looked up and saw and wanted to fly? And will you ever maybe get pilot lessons?
About the planes, when you see, like at night, when you sleep at night, South Sudan is very clear. You see all the stars, and then you'll see a plane flying, making a wide, big line. In the daytime, you see them. So we used to call it Nya King. Nya King means daughter of the king. So the plane was acknowledged. There's different type of planes. The one that make lines in the sky, that's when it's called Nya King. And so the dream, you want to get into Nya King. But I think now I've been flying it too, I think. And so of going to piloting, I'm not sure. You know, those are the dream as a kid. You know, as a kid, your dreams keep changing. When I came to Kenya, I wanted to be a doctor. Then I changed, and I wanted to be electronic engineering. But one thing that remained is I wanted to help my people, and that's what remained.
And that's why you're here today, and that's fantastic. So, I'm pretty blind, but are there any questions?
So with your music, do you, on an emotional level, does it help you in any way? Do you lose yourself to get joy, as opposed, in addition to it just being, not, you know, the message and trying to help people?
So on an emotional, for radio, on an emotional level, does it give you joy?
Well, music is the only thing that can speak to your mind, your heart, your soul system, your cells, influence you even without you knowing. So music is the place I get to see heaven again. This is where I get to be a child. This is where I can dance freely. And so music is a painkiller. Music has been my therapy. And it's been the place that I run to and hide from all the dramas that are in my head. And so if you come on Friday, you'll get to see how I express myself, you know. Seriously, because I may not do it here properly. You have to see me for 40 minutes on stage doing what I'm doing, and then you'll know what it is.
Oh, they're here because they love you anyway. Anyone else? Yep.
So another country in Africa that's healing after a lot of conflict is Liberia, and Alicia Sometimes just won the Nobel Prize. Do you think that there are ways that that leaders can learn from each other, or are the situations just too different and the conflict too strong for that sort of collaboration to happen?
Paraphrasing, can other countries help each other?
Countries can help each other. You know, South Sudan is in a better position now that it can learn from so many countries that have made mistakes. And so for Liberia, you know, South Sudan can learn from them too, especially the president there she's a really humble person and very hardworking and hoping for the best for the country. Even the way they've been working hard to cutting their debts, trying to make the economy work, like she's amazing, and I'm really happy for her. She won the Nobel Peace Prize, and South Sudan can learn from them. But South Sudan actually, at the moment, if you look at it, like most of those refugees that have been given opportunity in different countries, some of them are lawyers, engineers, doctors, scientists, marine biologists. And maybe I'm not trying to be biased here, but some of the best ones that are still humble, the ones who came to Australia, there's a good thing I like about them. When they go back to South Sudan, they are very humble. So they don't come and say, there's something big I have and you should listen to me. So what they do is they go and volunteer and ask somebody, I have these skills, can I try to help work something? And so they don't go and say, I'm looking for a job. The first thing they do, they go into the community and volunteer. And when they volunteer, they are not a threat to the people existing down there. And then people look at, oh, this person is not showing off for their skill, it's up to here to help. And so some of them now are beginning to run the government. And those from Australia, there's visible results of what they do compared to those from East Africa and America. The one come from America are so fast, they want quick dollar. You know, after 3 months, they just go back. And so those who have gone outside really are helping the country.
Any other questions? Okay. Oh, there you see, blind.
I just want to say firstly, when I first went to Sudan and I applied for a visa, I was overjoyed because Angelina Jolie applied for a visa at the same time and she didn't get it.
Trumping Angelina Jolie.
Do you find it strange the way all the aid workers and people here are obsessed with women in Sudan? What do you think about an orphanage myself over there for boys, and people find this very strange. They say, why aren't you helping women and girls? Because everyone from the West he was the one who helped women in the world. Do you find that? What do you think about that?
Well, the problem is the problems of the women have not been brought out. And so what I think, because the child soldiers came too quick, and also the other thing is, the worst part is, nobody has really spoken out about rape in the community, and then there are not many women speaking out about the issues affecting them. And so in that scene, nobody is pushing it. But if they cry and speak out for the things that are happening, then people will hear. But if the women are assisted, because if you assist one woman, then you're building the entire nation, because women are the first teachers who teach the children. And so, but like women like in South Sudan are the only people holding the country together, because the men have gone, they are cultivating, they are taking care of the cows, they do so many things, firewood, and cook for the children and teach the children the language at the same time. So if you're able to help, even if it's one woman that you're helping, then that's great. But I set up a charity called Gua Africa, and what we do is we try to find scholarship for young girls to get opportunity to go to schools. And so if you want to know more about it and how you could help more women. Yeah, because thousands of boys were collected, you know. It's like, there are a lot of girls have been there. The other problem is, when a girl reaches 13 and 14, they get married, so they become somebody else's wife. And so that's why the problems are kind of like hidden. So a 14 years old is married probably to a general or to a soldier. That's supposed to be in school. So maybe in Eastern Equatoria or Equatoria, maybe at the moment, government of South Sudan is trying to push for girls to go to school.
Let's hear a spoken word piece from the mighty Emmanuel Jal. What piece would you like to do?
I'm trying to save it for...
Well, we could. Is there one more? Maybe one more question, and then we're going to finish with the grand finale. Any more questions? Okay. Sorry not to get all of you.
To your knowledge, are there still child soldiers in Sudan?
There could be, you know, sometimes, you know, when kids are disarmed, then in the village, they're not in school, they sneak back. And also the village raid, they're child soldiers, 14 years old. It's difficult to navigate. Well, I was born in the worst time. My country was at war. So there was no much beautiful memories, you know. Like this, if you read the book, you'll find there's only a small part where you'll actually find that I was happy. You know, from I was 3, 4, 5, people were dying, people were crying. My mother was always crying, and it was death all through.
So let's leave on a buoyant note. What track will you be doing and why?
Well, I'll probably do a spoken word. You know, because I was told this is a theater, so we couldn't get a track and get you guys pumping.
Yeah.
And so I'll do a spoken word, a few lines. It's a song from the song Emma. So it's dedicated to Emma McCune. Hopefully, I'll inspire somebody to go out there and give a child a chance. You ought to have seen my face on the telly, fat hungry belly, flies in my eyes, head too big for my size. Just another little starving child, running around in Africa, born to be wild. Praise God, praise the Almighty for sending an angel to rescue me. I got a reason for being on this earth, cause no more than many water. Life is worth it now. Now that I get a chance to stand my ground, I'm gonna run over mountains, leaps and bounds. I ain't an angel, hope I'll be one soon. And if I am, I wanna be like Emma McCune. Me, I would have probably died from starvation. or some other wretched disease. I would have grown up with no education, just another refugee. I stand here because somebody cared. I stand here because somebody dared. I know there is a lot of Emmas out there who's willing and trying to save a life of a child. Remember the time when I was small, where I couldn't read or write at all. Now I'm all grown up, I got my education. The sky is the limit and it can't be stopped by no one. Oh, I pray for this day to come. And I pray that the world find wisdom to give the poor in need some assistance instead of putting up resistance. Yeah, sitting and waiting for the politics to fix this. It ain't gonna happen. They're all sitting on the asses, popping champagne and sponging off their masses. Coming from the refugee boy soldier, but I still got my dignity. I gotta say it again. If Emma never rescued me, I would be a corpse from the African plain. Thank you.
Woo!